just for reference, we are starting.
Yeah, what?
We starting.
I mean, I understand.
I just didn't know if we know. Nobody ever knows that we can start.
I know when I hear this atmospheric music, that's when it starts.
Hey, Fifth really hit that button like he
hit it like
exactly. Like, he hit that bit like, come on, man. You gonna get out your shit, bro.
Y'all running your mouth too much.
Okay. Man.
You gotta get to
Welcome to episode 16 of the Vibe Controllers podcast. We appreciate y'all tapping
almost
in.
Legal.
Yeah.
Almost
Sweet
legal.
16.
I like it. I
We
like what you
appreciate
did.
y'all.
The boy hilarious. Let me tell you. This that is dark humor. It's dark humor. I love it. I love it. Brilliant, man.
This around the time you start grooming them, huh? So when they're 18.
It gets worse. I'm finally somebody that's talk like my talk. I love it.
I'm just playing. We don't play with that.
Good grief. Anyway, man, thank y'all so much for tapping in with us. I go by the name of Cocky McFly. That is Merk B. Williams over there. Merk, say hey to the people.
Listen, I just wanted to say I am the greatest of all time. I know I said it last time, but man, I'm unfuckwittable. That's really what I wanted to say. Oh, and hey to the people.
Anyway, so we got a special guest this evening. One of our great friends, our good brothers, great black man, black business owner, one half of the owners of the Flamingo Jackson.
Yep.
Y'all, please give it up for Ahmad Thompson.
Yeah.
Insert fake ass clouds. And crowd screams. Ahmad, how you doing? Say hey to the people.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah, I love it. Do what you want to do.
See, don't nobody tell a black man what to do. You can make a strong suggestion. But you can't tell us
I
what to
knew
do.
I should have took the night off. Yeah,
Ooh, that's so good. You can make a strong suggestion, but you can't tell them what to do.
Yeah, excuse me for my raspy voice. It's been a long weekend.
Well, here's
But we gonna get on into it. Yeah, we gonna have a great discussion tonight about just around the subject of black businesses and pros, cons, and struggles and all that good stuff, man. It's gonna be real fun, real deep. So we're gonna be all the way. We finna be all the way. We finna be all the way out here in the conversation tonight. So yeah, stay tapped in.
let go.
All right, man. As I mentioned, we got our good brother Ahmad Thompson in the building, man. And like I said, we're gonna be talking a lot about our black businesses. So, Ahmad, like for the folk who don't know, just kind of give them a background. I know we mentioned the Flamingo Jackson several times on our show, but just give them a background of like just the conceptual history of that business, and also on the back end, because you own several black businesses. Like kind of let the people know like how that came to like where did that come from as far as your personal background is concerned.
Yeah. Excuse me. So the Flamingo was a concept that we came up with 2016, I think. There was an opportunity on State Street. One of our friends was currently in a lease and didn't want to give up the lease, so we connected with him. And one of the main things that I was telling them, this was two non-black people. And one of the things that we expressed to them is we want to be able to express our culture in the space. So, and we don't want any barriers to it. So they agreed to it. And even when they were a part of it, the Flamingo was meant to be like a lifestyle space, a place where people from all walks of life, all cultural backgrounds, all gender identities and sex identities can come together and just, hang out, have a beer, listen to some live music. We also wanted to make sure there was a spot to preserve, smaller, independent, local R&B and hip hop. Mm-hmm. And there's very few places in Jackson to do that. And then got out of that space, got into the other space. The two non-black people dropped out. And then so me and my brother, we kind of kept it going and leaned a little harder towards our culture and, made a nice looking spot for people to come to. And I guess we'll talk more about what the fate of that. But
that's gonna be the second question.
As far as our history, so my and I guess if anybody's listening to this and I'm telling it wrong, they can hassle y'all about it. Don't hassle me. But so my mother, she has always worked a quasi-government job. But my father went to school, got a sociology degree, taught for 3 days, I think, decided he didn't want to do it, and immediately went to construction.
Damn.
And he worked with like his buddies and people like that, and then he started his own business. And then even now, my mother, when we went to college, she started a dress shop in Crystal Springs. Well, she started in Clarksdale, Mississippi first, and then now they have one in Crystal Springs as well. So it's kind of in all of the Thompson children's blood to kind of like, provide opportunities to people. Don't only be consumers. Don't only, eat off of somebody else's kill so other people can. Well, that's pretty violent, but so they can
We get the analogy.
so they can feast as well. And so like my older brother, owner of a highly successful I think, I could be wrong, one of the most successful black marketing firms in the region.
That is a true statement. Shout out to the employer.
And like I told you, my mother has a dress shop, which is co-owned by my older sister, and then me and my twin brother. We have several entrepreneurial endeavors. I didn't know my grandfather's well, and my grandmother's. One of them was a teacher. The other one was she cleaned like banks and stuff for a living. So, I think they instilled it in my parents. Basically, like, especially with my father's mother. Basically, like, you don't want to do this. You want to work on your own terms. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be stuck working for the man. And then my mother's mother was very adamant about getting an education and like improving the community and things like that. So I would say it was just from a early time. I would say like high school, I knew that I probably was not going to be working for somebody for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't discourage anybody from getting a job and making, because everybody can't start business. So like I got to have people who work for me. So, but I think if you got the itch, man, you got to try it.
Yeah. Have you, so interesting, because I know in your business, you probably, you own the business, but I know you in your other ventures, you've leased the property,
Space, yes,
the spaces. So like owning versus leased it, like when we talking about, especially for black folk, like what are the pros and cons?
All right, so in the I guess the general world, like for everybody, if you take race out of it, you take area out of it, I think we tend to think that ownership is like we have to own things, but I think as black people, we've been boxed out of owning stuff for so long to where we think that's the only way to success. But like, you would take Fundra for instance. All them white folks there don't own them buildings,
Right.
and those businesses are highly successful. You got marketing agencies in there, you got boutiques there, you got restaurants there, and they don't own the buildings. It's like a handful of people own all those buildings. And so if you extract race from it, then the only benefit of owning the property is there is value in owning a tangible thing. Like there's like real estate has a value that's hard to you can't wipe it away.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's important if you can't own land. I don't care where it is, because land is finite. You know what I mean? Like there's only so much, and we can't build more land till we can get to Mars or something. So if you can get land anywhere, get it. You know what I mean? Because at some point somebody go need it. But in our particular case, so the first time we leased when we were on State Street, and it was kind of like a very casual lease, because our friend who had the lease, it was just a month-to-month type thing. So, and we knew that they were going to start developing Fundra, where now the bowling alley and stuff is. And so they didn't want to go into a lease with us, and that makes sense. Like if you go develop the block, like don't put somebody in a space where now you have to break the lease and pay them to do it. And the problem with that was how they asked us to leave. I mean, it was one day. There were some people coming in. I had to drive down to let them in the building. They were looking at the roof and stuff. He was like, "Don't worry about it. This is bank stuff." You know what I mean? Like, this has nothing. This doesn't affect y'all. This may have been like, September or October or something like that. And then like November. So I didn't directly communicate with the guy who owned the building. That was our then business partner. And so he just sent us a email and was like, "I just got this email," and he asked if we could be out, basically as soon as possible. Now, technically, you kind of need about, I think, now I may not be
Don't they
right,
have to give you
right
like,
about it, but I think they have to give you at least 30 days.
30 to 60 days.
But that's also spelled out in a lease agreement. So since we didn't have a lease agreement, he didn't do anything wrong. It's just the ethics behind it is fucked up.
Right.
But like, he didn't do anything illegal, you know? And so we had to get out of there. And the problem we had with that one is we were just starting to ramp up. Like, we had decided that we would go do all of these things, and people, because we were only open for a little under a year. And well, it might have been a little bit over a year. I think we opened in like August or September or something like that. And so it was like 3 months past a year. And we were just about to ramp up and all of that, and then that kind of put the kibosh on that. And then with the spot that we were most recently in, you know, we didn't even want to go, but we didn't seek them out. They came to us because they had been to the old Flamingo, and they were saying, "We're doing this development, and we think you'll be a perfect fit." And then we had all of these conversations about we were collaborating together, and this is how we want the whole campus to look and things like that. They actually asked us, so we got into a lease in May. So last May, so this May, when it was coming up to an end. Now, traditionally, around April, if it was May, around April, we would have been starting negotiations about, like, do we renew this or not? Well, they had their own personal kind of issues going on, so we suffered from that. So after our lease date ended, one of the owners came to us and was basically like, we're not making as much money as we need to make. We need to utilize your space so we can bring X amount of dollars. So can y'all be out? And then I asked him, well, so how soon do we need to be out? He's like, well, as soon as possible would be ideal. And the date that he suggested was like 2 weeks. We still had events and everything, so it was 2 weeks. So with me, like, I was over it. So I was just like, fuck it. We can get out in 2 weeks, but like, that's trash.
And that's gonna be my question, because you just mentioned, like, you know, the prior situation, y'all didn't have a lease agreement, and they were like, well, you know, it's a handshake deal basically. Yeah. And so it's like, you got to go. The ethics were jacked up. With this particular place, I assume you did have a lease agreement. Yeah. Yet and still, they gave you like a 2-week period to get out.
Yeah, and it was after the lease had already expired. But the thing is, it wasn't our fault that we didn't have the conversation. It was their fault. They were having personal issues and you know, don't want to be at the space and all of that. And so, you know, and the other thing that was really jacked up, and we can talk about this later if we get to it, but I really thought that these people, I consider them friends. And like, and it's slowly eroded. It was really like, if you ever been in a relationship and it's like one day you're super happy and the next day the person just act like they hate your guts. Like, that's how it was. I remember just being like, I don't understand why we're getting treated like this. We didn't do anything wrong.
Yep.
You know, we there cleaning up after events that y'all should have been cleaning up for. We letting people in when nobody's around. So we the ones letting y'all use our space for photo shoots and things like that for free. But then, like, when we didn't benefit you anymore, because like the shareholders want to start getting paid and things like that. So now it's just, we can just be cast aside. And I think that's the plight of a lot of black businesses. If you're not with a person, if your landlord is not somebody who sees your vision, at least it's transactional. And so as soon as they figured out, well, maybe we can make more money doing this, what use do they have to honor a friendship with us? Because it's just transactional. And I see now it was just transactional from the jump, because at least one of these particular people they only use people. And so in this instance, it was just like he just needed black people to get his grant money and things like that. You know, he didn't. I remember there were conversations about, and we now go too far in this, but there were conversations about, you know, him freaking out because there's not enough black people at the co-working space. Well, you're not promoting the black people. And he didn't care because black people aren't getting exposure. He didn't want to be seen as a racist white person. So we all were just pawns to him, you know. And as soon as they could pivot, that's exactly what they did.
You didn't want to be seen as a racist white person, but then you are doing racist white people shit.
Yeah. He
It's like-
that I got black friends white guy.
Well, but he also is cosplaying as a socialist too, though. You know what I mean? Like I one thing I can't stand is no wealthy person acting like he middle class or poor. You know?
Right. If you got it, you got it.
Yeah, and then but that's one of the
If
things.
you're a dick, be a dick.
Well, and that's kind of one of the things that attracted me to him. You know, it's just like, oh, you kind of course you don't understand the struggle of black people, but like you kind of understand the struggle of grassroots stuff, but you don't. You know what I mean? This is a toy that mommy and daddy bought you.
Right.
You
And,
know,
it's just,
like-
and I'm just negotiating to kind of get you on my side, and then let it ride to the point to where, all right, y'all did all this stuff to the space, so now, oh cool, y'all can get out and we can just turn it into something else, which is and we'll get because that's another question I have later on in the podcast, which we'll get to, which is a lot of white folk do that without understanding who the people are that they are putting out of these businesses and the impact that they have, like just on the community as a whole, not just black people. Because of that, a lot of people are not finna fool with them no more.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they'll get them,
Well, nobody
Madison
is.
people, folks, folks who don't know about them.
But I'm talking about
Nobody of significance in
no,
this
yeah.
city.
They
is-
not finna fool with them, because that's the part that they don't understand. Because they be so focused on being white that they forget like the impact that black folk have.
Well, and this particular person, he blamed everybody for the lack of success of that space, except not himself. He the only person that was always there. You know what I mean? They moved, they changed kitchen managers multiple times. They changed bar managers multiple times. They had a musical director. You know what I mean? But you the only one that's still there, and you go blame everybody else. And that's what white people can do.
Bro, you got a brunch in Vernon Ditch with a New Orleans jazz band. 'Cause that's where the spot is in Vernon Ditch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the eco shit is in the dish.
It's in the dish.
Yeah, it's in the dish. It's a block away from
Yeah,
the
that's
dish.
right down there. Yeah.
You right
So
in the dish.
you in Vernon Ditch,
But they want to brand it
You-
Industry Park though.
you in the black neighborhood.
Then they
inside.
brought the worst New Orleans
But
type
you got,
jazz
and I ain't
band
talking
ever.
about
It
no
wasn't like
second line.
they didn't. They didn't bring the Marcellus brothers.
You got
they
Kenny G and family.
Kenny G would have been appalled at the people who was up in here, man. It was they.
But anyway, we got a lot more to talk about, but that shit just be pissing me off, man. Like, yeah, it's crazy, bro. All right, so there's a term for the practice of business, or building up a business temporarily and then moving on to other ventures, which is referred to as building sandcastles. So it's like you may have multiple business ideas that aren't meant to last forever, but they have a significant impact. So you do something for a few years, you move on to the next thing after you kind of different things. So can you kind of speak on that for a moment?
Yeah, so I think the inception of the Flamingo is a perfect example of a sandcastle, because we started off, those who know, with Sweet 106. And that was right when we got out of college. I mean, we made up in like 25 or 26. We had no experience doing anything like that. We just know there was something we wanted to try. We did it. We may have done Sweet 106 for 2 years. Decided it was time for it to stop. And then a few years after that, we were approached and we started the Flamingo. And the Flamingo was basically Sweet 106 2.0.
Yeah.
And the concept of a sandcastle makes a lot of sense, because it's like we built this little sandcastle. Fine, let it get washed away with the same knowledge that we had, the same sand. We built a better sandcastle. And like the Flamingo may end up being, from the Flamingo, I know we've had like 12 different business ideas that we want to do in the future. Now, whether that means the Flamingo goes on in the future and these other businesses stand alongside it, or the Flamingo is done and we spawn something else out of the ideas and stuff we learned from that. So I would love for the Flamingo to be a lifelong business, but I do understand unless you like, one of the first businesses in the nation, you got a shelf life. Like, you're not gonna be 100, 200, 300 year business anymore. That's just not how we move anymore.
One of the crazy things about the Flamingo, and people have always asked me, like, what is the Flamingo? And my answer is always like, it's whatever you want it to be, because it's literally 4 or 5 businesses in one, right? And it's like, people come in there, oh, this a vibe, and it's like, well, it's a furniture store, and it's a thrift shop, and it's a chill spot, and it's a lounge, and I mean, it's like, and it's a workspace. Like, it's like a whole, and honestly, it is one of the first spots that I've ever seen of its kind that's like all of that stuff encompassed in one. And you got the gathering spot, which is in is everywhere now. But that's like the because they do different stuff, but it's like it's a totally different vibe. Yeah, this is really more this is more artsy.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that we did it like that was, and this is what I encourage a lot of people who want to start businesses, to kind of live by this, is nobody can tell you what your business can be. Like, you don't have to operate any way that. I remember when we first were like, well, we go do live music, and we go have like beer shows, it's gonna be kind of like a lounge. But then we'd be like, well, but we like selling clothes too. And then we would go and say, well, how many clubs selling clothes and furniture out of there? But then we would say, well, if we want to do it, we can. Like, nobody can tell us that we can't do anything we want to do in a building that we either rent or own. And so we like furniture, so we like, well, if you can sit on this furniture, but you also can buy the furniture. You see the artwork on the wall, it's decor, but if you want it, you can leave with it. Plants, all of that. You can come get a beer, you can come listen to live music, And so we just always live by, like, nobody can tell us what our business is supposed to look like.
Yeah. So this is good because this relates to you a little bit too, because like if there was a rapper, right, and then you doing like the same thing, like transitioning into different stuff. I know you ain't on here, but like, it's interesting just to think about, like, you started off like a rapper, and then I'm producing. I'm still rapping, but I'm producing. But then now it's like, I'm like more into like the creative part, the production in the podcast, but still maintaining like that artistic passion for the first thing, which is because he was a rapper, and it's like always. So I think a question for the both of you, like how do you like move in those different spaces while still like maintaining that passion for like the main thing that kind of got you there, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so for me, music is always gonna be my first love. But I do understand, unless you are like an industry plant or you are the hottest person out there, it's not a whole lot of money. The actual recording and performing part of it. Mm-hmm. So like, you gotta get good at merch. You gotta be able to create audio. Because I mean, if it was, rappers wouldn't have vodka brands and trying to start clubs, and they opening up a million Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever. So for me, it was just like, I understand. I like rap. I think I'm good at it, but it's also like, there are other ways to make money. And I'm an entrepreneur by spirit. I don't know if people have ever read any books by it, but it's like your brain never goes off. You're always trying to create stuff, and you're cheating yourself by trying to like silence that. Yeah. And so I figure if I'm gonna be thinking of a million things, I know I want it to rap. I still might do it. But if I'm thinking of a million things, then I owe it to myself to be happy to try these things.
Right. But even as a creative, it's almost like, well, first of all, money can't be the primary objective. Yeah. It just can't be. Like, it just, if that's your primary objective for trying to create something, money can't be the objective. But like, as a creative, I think, being passionate about, rapping. Yeah. And that's always gonna be your passion. And so, just like comedy, is my passion, but that's opened the door to be able to host a show. Yeah. Or open the door to be able to do a podcast, or write a script. So so on and so forth, and a bunch of other things. But even when I get to that point where like I may feel this creative block, I know I can always go back to where I started, because being a comedian always is gonna be, the thing that's gonna like to strike the match for me. Well, Same thing with like rapping. You go back to that. It's always like something
to
you
even
can
pull
go
that
back to.
Together even better. Like I think one of the reasons that we wanted to start Sweet 106 in the beginning, because it was in the same building One Love was in, is like where we go perform.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we were rappers. We were young rappers.
Furthermore, being in Mississippi, knowing that there aren't places where you can like kind of cultivate that craft, you gotta be creative. And you gotta create the spaces.
And I'm waiting for that for this the generation behind us. Yeah. Because I remember when we were like 25, 26, 27, we hosting shows. Like if we don't have a venue, it's like Fifth may be like, hey, I got this show, you want to get on it? And it's just like, I don't know, like where the 30-year-old that got the venue where people can perform.
Right.
Like you gotta have that kind of grassroots underground type thing, and it's not gonna be pretty. It's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be patched together. We spray painted all of the ceiling tile in Sweet 106 black.
Sure did.
Because we couldn't afford black ceiling tile. You know what I mean? Like we decorated everything ourselves, and it's just like you gotta have that drive. But like we saw it as we like to rap. Ain't nowhere to rap. We go make a place where folks can rap, and so we can do it. But also our peers can do it. Our friends, people from out of town can do it. And so that was one of the main drives of really everything I do now. It's like access for people who are like me when I was 25. Right. They don't have a place to go, and if they not go create it, well, I feel like I think of like
as an artistic
leader.
Yeah.
As a thought leader, as a thought provoker.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's my job to if these folks don't got nowhere to perform,
I gotta try to create a space for them to be able to do it.
If there ain't no black owned furniture shop, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's up to me to do it.
Right.
Other things, black owned coffee shop. Why we ain't got one? I mean, it's one downtown, but like, why do we only have one?
Why we only have one?
Black owned print shop, like all of these things. Like, so I feel I feel like
is that where is he gonna be located?
In Fondren, kind of close to
Quiznos.
What is it?
Oh,
the pet store, pet shop, Fondren.
Yeah.
But like so for me, it sparked out. It came out of necessity because I wanted to do a thing, and it was not available. Now I had the luxury of being able to like fund it and things. I mean, it was scrappy. But if you got to get 10 folks together to make a little clubhouse.
That was actually you kind of segue into what I was going to ask you. Like, where I know people do a lot of crowdfunding and other kind of stuff like that, but like, how do we create like groups or just spaces where people can come together who have like-mindedness to maybe even think about pooling resources to create a space?
Well, I think the first thing is that we have an overabundance of folks who got ideas.
Right.
And if you get a bunch of broke folks with ideas together, you're not gonna do nothing.
I got you.
And so I think that's the problem. Like we understand that we got the idea people. We got the folks who can promote it, but like we don't have access to the people who have money. Yeah. And then the people who do it, this is one of my gripes with Jackson. The people who do have money, all they doing is running a white business. They go in and they'll talk trash about the black businesses they go to, but I'm like, the food the same. Like it's all nasty. You know what I mean? Like if you saying that X's is nasty, then Y is nasty too. You know what I mean? And so, but I think we got to find the people who got the money, and the people who got the money, they got to be willing to take a risk on folks. You can't be super opinionated because you got money doing your thing. If you didn't make your money starting clubs, then somebody who want to start a club, don't try to micromanage. Just give them the money, look at the business plan, give them the money. It's a risk. You don't act a fool when you put your money in the stock market because you understand it's a risk. Well, these folks, these little black kids are just like the stock market. Some of them go boom, some of them go bust. And so you got to be willing to take that risk. So I think that's the spot we missing. I mean, it's a whole bunch of folks got ideas.
Great one, so
yeah.
And you need some doers on your team. That's part of it. Because again, you got the folks who grab the ideas and be doing that. Just
the money part is definitely a thing. I think that comes with trust too, because you can pull some folk together, and then some people be like, "Hey, well, if I put in such and such, well, I'm, that type of deal."
That's all the microcosm of the Fair Street project.
Well, and you got to be, I think, to be successful in the state that we are in, particularly in Jackson, you got to be willing to delay gratification. This shit ain't gonna happen in 5 years.
Nope.
Don't nothing. If you want to build a building from the ground up, that's 3 years right there. 3 years. Right, you know what I mean? So like if you and I always look at it like when I'm talking about going to Atlanta or New Orleans, it's like I'm 37. Like I want to be able to enjoy this shit. I don't want to be 50. But I mean, it wasn't here. So like that may be my fate. Yeah. My fate may be to build this thing so my kids ain't gotta be walking around like, why there ain't no black business? Why are there not any black districts I can go to? And I would love to be able to enjoy that next year, but that's not probable. You know what I mean? Like that.
I got another question, but I'm gonna save it for part 2 though. You sure? Okay, cause so the question I had was, and I think Merck mentioned it, and y'all were talking about it, is that the reality is. And I'm gonna say this question, but the question I was gonna ask is like, we are the OGs now, right? Like we trying to make this thing pop to like pass it or just keep it here so the next people can come along, the next us, whoever they are, can come along and take the baton so we can go sit down somewhere and it can be in good hands. And I think so. I guess how do we do that? Like, where are these people? Especially in Jackson, and do they have that love and affinity for Jackson the way that we do? And I think that was specifically I mentioned, when I was hosting at 7, and Mr. McGinnis basically walked up to me and was like, "Hey, bro," he just asked me like 2 questions. He's like, "Man, do you really want to do this? Like, you gotta love to do this." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, because I ain't coming back, so it's on you." Right? Like, I got you in the background, whatever help you need, but we gonna pass it on to you. And we had different people like Venom and Poet Truth and all these young folk at the time. Jason, like, sorry, Pay Pay Infamous, Fifth Child, Ugly Poet, all these people, like, we had that group. Yeah. And so now we that group and we 35 to 40. So it's like, how we find them people who was us?
I think we already got them. They here. Yeah. The vitamin C's.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I don't think they look like we
Dev
think
Max,
they gonna look.
all them folks, they here. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you got like you got Sarah Jane with the black card, young lady, great artist. You got Midfest that's happening yearly now, which is it was hot as fuck out there, but it was great. It was a great event.
And that's Adrian's baby.
Yeah, that's Adrian's joint. You got the Wood Grain Studio, Art of Wellness joint that just happened last month.
That was amazing.
Super dope. That was super upset I missed that.
Yeah, it was super.
But
dope,
I think so to kind of
shout out to Christina. It was a dope event.
To tag on to what you were saying, I think it's going to be us actually being willing to like have a person like under the wing, because I've had a few people who have expressed interest in, like, they're not saying like I want to open a spot like the Flamingo, but they have clearly expressed interest in like, I want to do events. If you need anything, let me know. Now, I don't ever expect anybody else to ever make a place like the Flamingo, because I've never seen a place like the Flamingo in any other city I've been in. Ever. And so that could quite possibly just be an Ahmad Thompson and a Sadie Thompson kind of thing. And when we gone, like, we never go see anything else like it. But there's a lot of people who have those in their brain. They just need somebody to help them express it. So I think it starts out by, I as a rapper, one of the things that I remember wanting to pursue rap like doubly when I saw Herb and Marcus perform in One Love, and I was like, these dudes dope. Like, it was so much energy, and it was and I remember just being like, damn, like, I want to be able to control a crowd like this. Like, I ain't heard nothing from them in quite a while. But it's like, and I feel like now I'm, capable of standing on my own, and I think, I think I'm a decent rapper in my own right. Yeah. But I just remember thinking like, these people brought us around. They were the ones talking to us after the show. They were the ones getting people together saying, let's do a song together. Yeah. There were DJs that were saying like, I'll DJ for it, as opposed to you being like, you having to be like, can you plug my phone up? You know what I mean? And so I think we just gotta do stuff like that. If you got a gym and you know some people who wanna be personal trainers, let them hang out. You know what I mean? They may not want to start a gym, but they may want to be like a fitness model. Or they may want to do like workouts online and things like that. But you could be the person just bring them in and saying like, yeah, you can hang around, you can hang out. Yeah. I ain't gonna charge you. I'm not too busy to help you grow. Because somebody did it to us.
Absolutely. That's why we all here. Honestly, somebody just had to give us a chance. Yeah. Yeah, man. So this was a pretty dope discussion, man. We're definitely gonna have to chime in and do a part 2 because there's so much stuff that we left out.
Man, I didn't talk about white folks enough. So.
Yeah, you did. You sure did. So we definitely got to get you because we really need to know how you feel about the situation that happened. We're gonna put that on blast.
We know how you feel.
So we know how you feel, but we're gonna really let you go and let it out. So yeah, man. So thank you so much for tapping in with us, folks. Again, y'all give it up for Mr. Ahmad Thompson for coming in, tapping in with the vibe controls, insert claps, and no, actually do the RC marks for that. They'll be perfect for that. Steven can do all things through Christ. I know you were coming. So anyway, man, please continue to tap in with the vibe controllers. We got this is now episode 16. We are available on YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So y'all check us out on our social media platforms as well, on Instagram and Facebook, in our Facebook group. I definitely I need to do that this week. We need to create a Twitter account, maybe. So I don't know.
Ain't been on Twitter.
And we on TikTok too, so you can see a lot. All of these.
Y'all doing dances?
Nope. All you see is vibe control. All you see is vibe control.
If you ain't dancing or you don't got a BBL, I ain't trying to see you.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to do the challenge.
You can go on in. You can go do the challenges on there, and I'm just gonna be putting up vibe control stuff. That's it. Please stop. I hate them all.
Cut them challenges be fun, man. Them people be having fun.
Man, you stupid. Oh, also, if you go to our Instagram page or our Facebook group page, you'll see a post where we got some real dope merch available for pre-order all the way until July 4th. We got 3 t-shirts, 3 vibes for you, so check those out. You just click the link in the bio, or you click the link in the comments of the post on our Facebook page. So we got all that good stuff, and of course, if you just want to book us, let us know how you feel about the episodes, or if you kind of want to be a guest and we know who you are and it makes sense, just hit us up at thevibecontrols@gmail.com. Merk, what you got?
Yeah, look, just follow me on all social media at Merk B. Williams. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff coming up. And I just keep you guys up to date on all of that. On tour right now still, the Born Funny Comedy Tour, Rita Brent. And a bunch of somebody just called me tonight. Anyway, bunch of stuff, man. So just follow me on social media. I'll let you know all that stuff at Merk B. Williams. Let's go.
All right. So again, if you listen to this and you're in the city of Jackson this week, we got the Black Business Crowd. So y'all make sure y'all check out what's the Magnolia Market?
Yeah, Magnolia.
And we'll put info on the page too, so y'all can.
It's shared on our Instagram page. So Magnolia Sunset Markets, y'all check that page out for all the information on the Black Business Crowd. Get out and support your people, because we got to support us. All right, as always. Fifth child, July 15th at Urban Fox. He out here.
Yeah.
So
that a Friday.
Yep. So go get your tickets at urbanfox.com. All right, so as we always like to do before we close, we like to give y'all some few nuggets to carry on through the week, the day, and the month, and wherever you're listening. So we're going to pass it on over to our special guest, our good brother Ahmad. He going to give us some black business nuggets to carry y'all niggas home.
All right, I'm going to give y'all, I'm going to try to condense it to 3 out of, I know I got a lot of them, but so one thing I'll say is you got to have your storefront or your appearance on point. So like, if you got a website, that thing don't need to look like a GeoCities website. You know, if you're doing it like Wix style, like it need to look good. You know, like, so if you need to hire somebody to do it, if you need to barter with somebody to get it done, then do it. But like inside, we had the spots that was like painted drop ceiling and drop ceiling falling down. The bathrooms don't work. If we want people to take us seriously, we got to put the money into the space. If we don't got the money to do it, we need to save until we can do it correctly. The second thing, well, that's gonna be with location too. Depending on what you're trying to do, everything that work in West Jackson ain't gonna work in North Jackson. So you got to know, but it's also some folks ain't go travel to West Jackson. So you got, for whatever you're doing, you just got to make sure the location is right. The second thing is to add on to the financials. You got to be willing to go all in on this stuff. So, like with the Flamingo, one of the flaws that I made was I was working a full-time job, and I had the Flamingo as a part-time job. I want the Flamingo to thrive, so I need to make sure I got enough runway to where I don't need to do nothing else but focus on the Flamingo for 6 months.
Yeah.
I need to be able to hire people because I can't do everything.
Yeah.
You know, I was me and my brother running social media, planning an event, booking people, ordering the beer, cleaning the building, you know, paying the rent, all of these things. So we got to. You got to split that up, you know. And the last thing is you got to be consistent.
That's it.
If you opening Wednesday to Saturday, then you need to be open Wednesday to Saturday. So whatever you got to do to make that work, if that means you got to work longer shifts, you know, that's the burden of being a business owner.
Yeah.
So make sure you take those tips. Think about your black business, start it up, and be great.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. Give it up again for Ahmad Thompson.
Oh yeah.
In the building, man. And also get you invest in some customer service training.
Oh, for sure.
What you talking about?
Invest in some customer service training for your employees. I'm telling you, it's value.
Cause that's the only reason Chick-fil-A tastes good. Cause them folks so happy.
Them tell them again, bro.
Thank you.
That's it.
The food is abysmal.
Cause it's the same folks at Chick-fil-A. If they sound like the folks at Wendy's, that chicken to be trash.
Man, big facts.
That's all I'm saying.
Zaxby's better, ain't it?
It is.
But anyway, man,
We're not about to start the chicken war.
Yeah, you know, I hate Chick-fil-A. So,
I mean, I've had better. I just say that. But anyway,
just go to Sugar's and get your chicken.
That's it. Go to Sugar's,
Zoe's or something.
Zoe's. Yeah, go there and get your chicken. All them good places. Sambu. all them places. Bistro 21, Social Bistro 21. All the black business. Support black businesses. I'm gonna make a black business. That's what I've been working on actually for the last couple of months. Is making a black. I was doing it for work, but I'm gonna do it in general. Making a black business directory.
Like the black
Like
page.
restaurants.
Like
Black
George
pages.
Chuck and them already did.
It's one. It's the Jackson Black page. They probably
Ain't no
need
such
to
thing
update
as an
it.
original idea, you know. Just
Nah,
remember
yeah,
that.
they probably need to update it.
Well, I need to go on there and see because some of them. All right, man. Thank
That's all
y'all
I'm
we Stephen ready to go. All right, so we definitely appreciate y'all
We
tapping
waiting
in
around
with us, man. Thank you so much. This was a magnificent episode. He will be back for
I'll
part
be
2,
back.
but it won't be the next episode. We don't know when it's gonna be. Merc.
You already know what it is, man. Y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay free. Y'all share that shit.
All right, 2 fingers up means peace to the side because we chilling. You got to say it, Ahmad.
Yeah! He been practicing.
I sure
He
have.
been practicing.
Like,
Oh,
these
he-
niggas gotta let me say out here. Out here.
Oh yeah, that's it. He hit that shit, bro. He been waiting on that moment.
Steve's still recording.
Because he can't stop laughing. Goof ass nigga.